And we're live. So this is what's called the Google Hangout on Air. Well, one of the things you'll hear me talk a lot about during this next hour is connecting yourselves and connecting your classroom and your students. And one of the ways that I really like to do that is by using Google Hangouts. And when you use a Google Hangout, there's two kinds. There's a typical Google Hangout, which is what you can do anytime. It's just like a Skype. And then there's what we're doing right now, which is called the Google Hangout on Air. The only difference is by doing a Google Hangout on Air with you, I am live broadcasting this to YouTube at this exact moment. And so it's creating a recording for me. It's live, so if I were to tweet out the link of anybody that wanted to join, anybody could watch this at any time. And so it just kind of saves me a step of having to do any screen recording or any special tools. Super easy to use and 100% free. I use Google Hangouts all the time to connect with other people in my field and also to have my teachers and students connect with other kids. We have, over the last 3 years, I have probably done over 250 Google Hangouts or Skypes with my students or my teachers. And that's because I really believe in making this world a much smaller place. I teach in a district. Last year I taught in a district, and this year my district's even higher numbers, but this year we have 90% of our students on a free and reduced lunch. I've got about 50% of my students that are Hispanic, 30% that are African American, and 20% that are white. And a lot of them won't usually leave the area that they live in. Many of them have never traveled more than a 2-hour radius, and hardly any have traveled outside the state of Texas. And so when I have the opportunity as an educator to provide them with experiences to travel the world and connect with people around the world, I have no idea why I wouldn't want to take advantage of that, especially when it's free and super easy to use. One of the big things that I always hear people talk about whenever I talk about connecting online is, well, I'm afraid. I don't know how to use it. I don't want to look like I'm doing it wrong. There's going to be mistakes. My kids are going to act weird, all this kind of stuff. And there's several things that I say in response to that. Number one, if you're connecting with another classroom, their kids are the same way. Their kids are going to pick their nose on camera. Their kids are going to wave for the first 5 minutes of the call. It's going to work out like that. But you are connecting with other people in the education field mostly, and they understand that. So don't be afraid of that part. The second thing is when you connect with people for the first time, it doesn't have to be people from around the world. You can connect for the first time with a teacher across the hall and practice doing a Skype or a Google Hangout that way. Or you can do what we did for my first one, which is we set up 2 laptops in the same room in 2 corners of the room and did a Google Hangout from one corner of the room to the other corner of the room just to make sure that our stuff worked, that we were comfortable using it, that the kids could get in front of the camera. So you don't have to go super big right when you want to start doing things. But by connecting my class that way, we've been able to Skype with 3 different Olympic gold medalists, a Disney Channel star, 2 professional singers. We have connected with 38 states and 8 different countries. And we have done countless connections with other people in different fields of research and education and jobs. And just my kids have gotten to travel the world without ever leaving their classroom. And so they can leave 5th grade saying, yeah, I talked to people in Sweden, and we did a collaborative project with some 3rd graders in Australia, and we did this or that. And it also helps provide them with a much broader mindset of the world and bringing everything much more into focus. Many of my kids here, because they're just small country bumpkin kids, they don't comprehend different countries. And so they think when because some of the calls we do with like Sweden and Australia and things like that, it's just conversation. What kind of music do you listen to? What does your school day look like? What's your favorite subject? What kind of clothes do you wear? And when the kids hear that somebody else listens to Katy Perry or that kids in Australia play an Xbox, I mean, they freak out thinking, how do they have that? And I have to tell them, it's not a different planet. We do have a lot of the same things, but they don't comprehend that. And so it's just able to really help that. The district that I was in before was not as culturally diverse as the district that I'm in now. And it was good and very important for me to introduce them to a lot of different ethnicities, cultures, backgrounds, because I wanted them to be able to connect and learn from people and not just have the mindset that maybe their parents had. And that was really important for me. And so that's why we've chosen to connect. I'm going to go ahead now and share my screen. So hopefully this works. When you're doing a Google Hangout, there's a lot of different tools along the side of a Google Hangout that you can do. We can have a chat while we're having the Hangout. You'll see that I have this bottom third where it has my name and my Twitter handle. You can add that. To give you a little more things that you can do with the Google Hangout, I'm going to add my special effects. And you will see these are all free and they're built in. There are no extra downloads. I can do things like add a Dr. Seuss hat, and Google has it set up that wherever I move, those things will move with me. I can do a clown. I mean, there's all kinds of things that I could do as headwear. There are also different backgrounds, so I could change my background and pretend like I'm talking from somewhere else. I can make sound effects. And you can do those during the call. I can add a prop if I wanted to pretend like it's somebody's birthday. I can also add facial hair. And I can also add different eyewear. And those things, just like all the other stuff, will move with you as you move around the screen. And so those are fun, just little things that you can play with. Another cool way that I've used Google Hangouts and Skype is there are times when I can't be in class, and I hate being out of class. And so what I'll do when I have to travel to conferences and things like that, I will use my phone or a computer, and I will call in, and I will do a Google Hangout or Skype with my class and check in on them, answer questions. There was one day where my kids were presenting projects, and I had to be at home. And so what I did was I was able to do a Google Hangout call to them, and they all presented to me via Google Hangout, and I was able to have conversations with them and pretend like I was there. And the sub loves it because it makes their job really easy. They just have to be able to accept the phone call when I call, and I train students on how to do that too. And so then I'm able to do a lot of work with the kids, and the sub's able to text me as well when the kids are having a rough afternoon, and I can quickly call in and reset the tone of the classroom to let them know that I'm a phone call away at all times. And so that's been really cool to use as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So hopefully you can see, yes, you can. So hopefully y'all can see my 3 Tech Ninjas page with my picture, Stacey Huffine and Aaron Marvel, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Then this is working. So I love the screen share aspect as well. My mom, who's a teacher as well, but is not very technologically proficient, likes to ask me to walk her through a lot of things or come over, and I can't always come over every time she calls, but we are able to do Google Hangouts, and I can walk her through by sharing my screen. The screens that I have up right now is my 3 Tech Ninjas website. This is a training company that my friend Stacey Huffine and I started about 3 years ago. When we went to trainings and conferences, we would go to a lot of great sessions and take furious notes, and we couldn't keep up with all the stuff we were writing down. We couldn't read our notes later. We had put a .com instead of a .edu or a .org or a .gov, and it was just a mess. So when we went to do trainings, we knew we wanted to just make it easy on people. So every single tool that you will hear me talk about in the next 30 or so minutes are all on our Ninja website, and they are all organized for you on our website as well. So they're easy for you to find. So the website is the number 3, techninjas.org. It's just like written right here, the 3 techninjas, and it's .org. And what you'll see is we have a Web 2.0 tools category that when you click on it, it has all the different things, and I'll be talking about things in a lot of these different categories. And there's more Web 2.0 tools. So we've organized everything for you and made it really easy for you to find a lot of the great things that I'm going to talk about. The first one that I'm going to talk about is underneath the collaboration tool, underneath more Web 2.0 tools. So I already talked to you a little bit about connecting your kids outside your classroom. I want to talk a lot about just connecting, period. One of my favorite tools to use for connecting is a website called Remind. Now you can see underneath some of these websites, oops, I have this TAAFT. That means there's an app for that. So if you see that TAAFT underneath any websites, it also has an app that comes with it. Now we check these apps on the iOS App Store, the Apple App Store, so not Android. So many of these do have Android versions, but just give you that kind of heads up right now. But I absolutely love Remind and use it every single day. I use it every day as a teacher. I use it every day as an administrator. Remind is a resource that lets you text parents and students without ever needing their phone number, and they never need yours. And what's great about Remind is that the parents can choose to receive a text. They can download the app and choose to receive the message in-app, or they can sign up with their email address and receive it via email. And you don't have to worry about signifying which way it goes out to them. Remind does all of that for you. Remind will allow you to pre-set up messages so you don't have to worry about having anything that you have to remember to set up. So I'll go weeks in advance and I will set up messages and make sure that they get sent out on those days. And so when I go into, you can see that I've created several groups. You can have multiple groups as well within there. So you can have a group for your book study, for your teachers, for your students, for the parent, whatever you need, you can make groups for. I also use this with my family. This was a way for us to easily send out mass messages to family. But you'll see here on this screen that I can send it to a group. I can type the message. I can attach documents or links or photos to any of the messages. And this is where I can schedule out what messages that I'm going to send out. You can see that it keeps track of every single message that I've ever sent out to my staff, and they're undeletable. So it also protects you as an instructor to make sure that nobody can ever say you sent anything out. You can see the time and the date that you sent it out as well. You can also see all the people who have subscribed to your group. And so you can see to make sure who has and is not subscribed. And it's very easy to get them to subscribe. All they have to do is type in this phone number and put this in the message, and they are subscribed to your group. But if you want to download the instructions, you can easily download a PDF that Remind has that you can send out to everyone that you need to send it out to. So I'm all about making things easy where I don't have to reinvent the wheel, and Remind does all of that for me. I can also add students, parents, or whoever by sending out invitations. So if I know their phone number, I can type in their phone numbers and send an invitation. If I know their phone number and they won't sign up, I'll send them an invite. So they don't even have to worry about texting anything. All they have to do is reply yes to that invite, and they are signed up. I absolutely love Remind. They also just recently introduced a chat feature so that you could have two-way communication on Remind with parents and students. You can set up office hours, so there's hours that they cannot contact you. They're just doing more and more great stuff, and it's absolutely free, which I'm really big on. Now, going back into the connecting with people, one of my absolute favorite tools or resources that I've ever found is a website called Classroom Champions. To me, this is a must for every educator. I learned about Classroom Champions a few years ago, and what it is Olympic gold medalist Steve Messler, who was right in that photo right here in the middle. He started this company with his sister, and what he did is he was on the men's bobsled team about 5 or 6 years ago whenever they won the gold medal, and he would go to schools and speak and leave and say, well, you know, I don't really feel like that was a lasting impact. I want to leave a better impact. And so he started Classroom Champions, and what they do is they connect top performing athletes with kids, and they create lessons for kids to learn from. And it's goal setting, fair play, community, all these great character education lessons that you as a teacher or a specialist teacher or an administrator, whoever, can learn from the top performing athletes in their field, all about these things for free. You can use any of it as much as you want. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be learning from these people like Jerome Singleton Jr. or Merrill Davis and Charlie White. I mean, it's Olympic and Paralympic athletes, and it's just such an awesome thing. And every spring, they do a application where you can apply to be a Classroom Champions teacher. Well, if all this is free, why would you want to be a Classroom Champions teacher? Well, if you're a Classroom Champions teacher, they assign you an athlete who is your specific athlete, who will make videos specifically for your kids, do challenges for your kids. You get to Skype with them in the fall, and you get to do a Skype or Google Hangout with them in the spring as well. Last year, I was selected as a Classroom Champions teacher, and we had Paralympian Joshua Sweeney, who I was so happy we got a Paralympian, because I think that just makes a much bigger impact on kids when they can learn from people who've been through those trials. Josh fought in Afghanistan, stepped on an IED and lost both of his legs, came back to the United States, joined the men's sled hockey team, and then last year when he was our athlete, we got to follow his entire path to Sochi, Russia, and then when the men's sled hockey team played in the finals, he scored the only goal scored in the game and won the gold for the United States. And so my kids got to learn from him, and then we competed in a video contest in the spring for Classroom Champions, and we won. And Joshua Sweeney got to come spend a day on our campus with our kids. And it was absolutely incredible. It was one of those moments that I will never be able to forget. But it's completely free. I think the application's just closed. I know it says it's time, but I think the application's just closed for this year. But you can use all of the resources. So it's one of those things that I'm like, you should be on there using it. And if you're not on social media like Facebook or Twitter, I would really highly suggest you be on that as well. And I'm going to provide a resource at the end for you to learn how to use Twitter if you're one of those people who says, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, I don't know how to do this. My response to you is, you are a teacher. You ask your students every single day to come to school and learn. How dare you not be learning on your own? And you cannot use the excuse of my school does not have money, they can't send me over here, I can't miss days. There are tools like Twitter out there where you have professional development available at your fingers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for completely free. And you cannot say, I don't know how to use it, because there was this thing invented a few years back called google.com where you can go and Google, how do I tweet? And there will be thousands of videos and articles that show you how to tweet. You can Google what is a hashtag, and there will be thousands of videos and articles that teach you. So you cannot be defiant and say, I don't know how to do that, because what you're truly saying is, I could care less and don't want to do that. And in my opinion, what example are you setting for your students when you refuse to learn on your own? And so that's my pitch towards Twitter, but I'll provide you with a resource at the end that will also help you walk through and kind of use some social media. But this is how I learned about Classroom Champions was on Twitter. Everything you're going to hear me talk about, none of them are my ideas. I got them from somebody else by using social media. And my kids have got to work with 3 different Olympic athletes because I tweeted those Olympic athletes. My kids got to work with a gold medalist track star because we had a track meet coming up and they were nervous. So they said, can we talk to somebody? So we tweeted an Olympic athlete and said, hey, we want to do a quick Google Hangout. Can you just give us some advice before our track meet? And he came on and spoke to my kids for about 30 minutes about being happy with how you perform, just doing the best you can do. And it was one of those really cool moments. The worst thing somebody can tell you is no. And I don't get no very often when I tweet out help from people or try to beat people online. And so because of that, my kids have gotten to also do Google Hangouts with the White House. They've also got to participate in a Google Hangout with 7 different Miss America contestants, including Miss America herself, and talked about women in science fields. And so it's just been one of those things that's why I reach out on social media. But I can't say enough about Classroom Champions and how much I love Classroom Champions. Now, if you are a Skype user, Skype in the classroom is a must for you, I would say. To me, the easiest way to describe this is it's like Craigslist for educators. And so you can go on and find tons of other organizations and classrooms that are looking for specific things to Skype with, and you can find exactly what you need. I'm a big Google Hangout user. I don't really use Skype very often just because of all the extra things that Google Hangout offers. But I do know that some people really like Skype. And some people that I connect with, the only way they know how to connect is Skype. And so I use it there because it's just easier for them. One of my favorite things to utilize with Skype is called a mystery Skype, but I also do mystery Google Hangouts. And the Skype in the Classroom website also has an entire section over mystery Skypes that connects you to tons of people. What a mystery Skype is that, hold on, that's my phone. Sorry, as you can tell, I'm in my office today. But mystery Skypes, what they will do is they will allow you to connect with another classroom. You know where that class is from, and that teacher knows where your class is from, but your kids have absolutely no idea. And so it becomes a game of like 20 questions where you say, are you east of the Mississippi? Does it snow in the winter? There are multiple languages spoken in your classroom. And you try to figure out where the other class is from before they can figure out where you're from. Now, it is a ton of fun. Very little setup and takes about 15 minutes. We would do 20 to 30 of those a year. A great incentive piece to say, hey, we're going to do a mystery hangout this Friday. If you don't have your work done, we're not going to do it, and I will cancel it. And I've canceled them before because they need to know that those are things that they're going to work towards. But I will give you a couple of pointers. You are from the South, just like I am. Do not use the word y'all because that gives it away really quickly. And I will tell you, when I told my kids they couldn't use the word y'all, their first response was, well, what do I use instead? And I had to say, you can say you guys or you all. And they would get up to the camera and they would come up there and they're like, okay, what do I say? Oh, what do you guys do? And so I was like, oh my gosh. The other thing I will say is, I don't know about Oklahoma, but in Texas, we hang our state flag everywhere, and make sure it's not in the camera angle because that would give us away a lot too. We won very few mystery Skypes and mystery Google Hangouts because of our flag and because of y'all. So that's just a little heads up for you if you do that, but they're so much fun. And again, all of this is completely free. This is how we were able to connect with some authors, and this is how we were able to connect with our Disney Channel star, was all from Skype in the classroom. So that's another great resource that I very highly recommend. If you haven't heard of Kahoot, Kahoot is so much fun and it's super easy. My teachers all use Kahoot at my current campus. It is pretty much a little game environment that we use for a quick assessment in class. All they have to do is have a device that accesses the internet. It's no app required. So laptop, desktop computer, whatever, phone, anything. And you just go in and you create a little quiz, and then little quiz questions pop up, and they can answer the quiz questions and do all that stuff. It is so much fun. I love going into a classroom and I can pull out my phone really quickly and play Kahoot with the kids and against the kids. That to me is so much fun. To go and use that. And so Kahoot is one thing that I always recommend just because it is so easy. There are also a ton of Kahoots already made. So depending on what you need a quiz for, you may already find a teacher who's already made it for you, which is great. Now, if you are a person who lets kids bring their own devices and use their devices in the classroom, which we are, we do it pre-K all the way up through 12. Our kids can bring devices. We also have a pretty open Wi-Fi where we're able to utilize a lot of things. And it's been really good for our kids because we aren't a district that can exactly afford a lot of technology. And so because we can't exactly afford a lot of technology, allowing the kids to bring their own devices has really helped with leveling the playing field. And so it's been funny because over the last 8 months, I guess, of school, we've only had 2 issues with kids on their devices or accessing material. And so we've been able to have a one-on-one conversation with those kids and been able to fix it, and it hasn't been a problem again, which I think is really important for schools to make sure that you are doing training over how to use things well. And you can't do training by just talking about it. You wouldn't ever just show a video over how to drive a car and then give your kids car keys and say, go have fun on the road. So we can't do that with technology and say, here's how you use social media safely. Okay, go have fun at home when you're on your own Wi-Fi. We've got to be providing opportunities for them to learn how to do it when they have us to help correct and train and show examples. Now, my kids aren't old enough to have social media accounts. I will tell you they do anyway, but we don't advertise for them to have them. But every teacher has a class account on Facebook, a class Facebook page. Every teacher has a Twitter account, and the kids can share things via those underneath the supervision of the teacher, and we're able to show how to use that correctly with our students. I'm not going to go through all of these tools because I'd be here forever. I just want to show you some of my favorites. Another one that I want to go to is research. If you like having your kids do research, there's so many great things that the kids can use besides just Google. So there's a lot of great research tools here that we've provided you that you can use. If you're a secondary teacher, you'd really want to use the CRAP test. The CRAP all stands for something, but it helps make sure that the sources are actual viable sources and not sources that are not good sources. And so you'll want to definitely check that out. Oops, close that out. Wrong tab. Okay, and so another tab that I want to go to is my Kid Stuff tab. Now, this is a tab that I use with kids whenever I have resources that I want them to go to that are just fun things when they have free time. Instead of just letting them go to these random crazy websites that they go to, I let them go here. And one of my favorite tools to use is Draw a Stickman. With Draw a Stickman, you select an episode, and this is even more fun if you have whiteboards. And so they start by drawing a stickman. So I'm actually drawing a stickman here with my little mouse pad, so excuse my drawing. But then it does a whole walkthrough of a whole story. And throughout the story, it will ask you to do different things. Draw a key in my hand, draw a balloon, things like that. It's so much fun. It's the same story every time, but the kids will do it again and again and again. There is no sound, but the kids will demand that they wear headphones. It's so funny to watch. But you just go through and keep doing it, and it just keeps telling the story. And my kids just get obsessed with this. They love Draw a Stickman. Build with Chrome is really great, especially if your kids like Minecraft and stuff like that. What Build with Chrome does is it allows you to build using Lego blocks. And so they can go through and start building. They can take an academy and start learning how to do it. But in the academy, it uses the Lego movie characters to walk them through. But it just gives them a blank space to work and allows them to just drag pieces out and start building things with Lego blocks. So it's just pretty cool way to do that. And if you are signed in to your Google Plus accounts, it'll save all of your creations, but you don't have to be signed in. Another one that I really, really, really enjoy is Incredibox. I like using version 2, but what Incredibox does is my boys especially get really obsessed with this. And so what it is, you can create your own music. And so once it loads here, You'll see that you can drag different beats and melodies and sounds on top of the characters, and they will start creating them for you. So I always have to have the conversation with the kids. He's not naked. He's just not wearing a shirt. But you can see there's beats, effects, melodies, and voices. So I can drag a beat. And so you can see you can keep playing with it and changing it and doing all that. My kids will sit on this for 45 minutes at a time, and they will make you listen to song after song after song, but it's so much fun for them. Another one that I think is the stupidest website ever is this website called This Is Sand. This is exactly what the website looks like. There is nothing on the screen. You hold down the mouse or the clicker, and all it does is it drops sand. And your kids can just sit here for 30 minutes. And my ADHD kids especially love this. They say it's soothing, but they will sit here and fill this entire screen with sand. However long it takes, they don't care. And to me, this is the stupidest website ever, but they will sit here and hold down that mouse and keep filling and filling and filling. This is also an app, so if you have an iPhone and you just want to hold your finger down on your phone and do this for hours, you have the ability to do that as well. But that's that site. And then there's Jackson Pollock and Build Your Wild Self as well. We have some great educational sites that we found as well for you to use with kids. I love SumDog as a math teacher. That was a fun one, as was Math Pickle. The great thing about Math Pickle is the guy that runs that website, he will do Skypes and Google Hangouts with your kids and give them challenges and logic puzzles to do with him there to help. Wonderopolis, if you're an elementary teacher, is so great. We do a different wonder every day, and it's just a really fun way for the kids to stop and think every morning. I also like the website Who Pooped. It is done by the Minnesota Zoo. So it is an educational site, but the kids love poop. So with Who Pooped, all it is you start and it shows you some poop and you have to identify what animal pooped it. And then after you identify the animal that pooped it, it will teach you about that animal. So it's educational, but my kids just think it is hilarious and they absolutely love it. So that's another one that I share with them. One of the things that we I'm really big on is podcasts and learning from others. Podcasts are audio recordings that you can go and learn all of these great things. I have a 30-minute commute every day. So every day I drive to school. And so I listen to different podcasts to push my learning. Of course, the podcast I'd share with you the most is the first one, Edu All Stars, because that's my podcast that I do with my friend Chris Kessler. And what we do there, I think we are almost on episode 100. We've been doing it for about 2 years now. And what we do is we have people that inspire us in the educational field, and we interview them and allow them to tell their story, how they got started, why they're in education, what are some of the things they do that are really great, what are some of the challenges they face. Because one of the biggest things you can learn from people is when you let them tell their story. So it's quick 45, 30-minute interviews with just the difference makers in education, from the United States Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, all the way to a teacher in a little podunk town in Texas. We have superintendents, technology directors. We've interviewed Remind. We've interviewed some Olympic athletes who are with Classroom Champions. We've interviewed CEOs of companies. All these people who just play a part in the educational realm. We've also interviewed about 3 or 4 different episodes have kids who are doing incredible things. And so we've got 14-year-old Joshua Williams out of Miami. And we've got some other kids on there as well that you can check and learn from. Also, like Jack Andraka, if you've heard of him. We have a blind college student that we interviewed about some of the things that he's dealt with. So that is just a very inspiring show that we try to put on to work with and share the stories of other people. So I encourage you to go check out Edu All Stars. Looking at some of the other web tools that we have, I want to kind of go and share some of the Google stuff. Now, this is not any Google apps for education. This is the company Google and things that they offer everybody that a lot of us don't know about, just because Google doesn't advertise their things because they're Google. They don't have to. So I'm going to show you a couple of these. One of my favorites is a Google a Day. I use this a lot with kids and adults to teach them how to Google well. With a Google a Day, what it is is you start playing. You can be signed into your Google Plus account, which helps, but you don't have to. And it gives you a question, and you have to use Google to find the answer to that question. But all of the questions are designed as questions that you cannot just copy and paste and find the answer to right away. You'll see that it's timed, so the longer you take, the less points that you get. And you have to type your answer in and see if you can get it. You can get a hint, you can show the first couple letters, but you can go and work through this. It's great for kids and so much fun. And they get the questions are different all the time, and you can change the questions if you don't like what the question is. But it's just a really great tool to use with kids and adults to teach them how to Google well. And if they're signed into their Google Plus accounts, then it also keeps track of their points. So I just think that's really cool. Another one that I like to use with secondary students is Google Scholar. When kids are doing research, Google Scholar only Googles things that are articles, patents, and case law. And you can keep track of all the articles you look at, your citations, and everything like that. So it really helps narrow down the searches. The same goes for Google Books. You can search different books. Now, there's another reason why I really, really like Google Books. I can look up a book like Wonder. Now, if you have not read Wonder, that is a book that I must recommend. So I find the book Wonder, and I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And what Google Books allows me to do is it gives me a preview of the book. I can check out different pages and read different chapters and kind of see if I even want to read this entire book. I can write a review of the book, but what I love the most is I can add it to my library. That doesn't mean I'm buying it, doesn't mean I have the whole book. I can just put it in my library so that when I go to my library, you'll see that I have books that I've browsed. I can put books that I'm reading now. I've put books that I have read. So these are different bookshelves that I've created. So what we want to do with our students on my campus, because all of them do have Gmail accounts because we're a Google Apps district, so any kid or any adult with a Gmail account can create different bookshelves. And then imagine being a fifth grader and being able to add every book that you read to your virtual bookshelf and having a list of them. Or creating a bookshelf that says books I read this year that I liked, books I read this year that I didn't like. Our goal is to start this with kindergarten and first grade students and have them carry it on and have a first grade bookshelf, a second grade bookshelf, a third grade bookshelf. Because I would love to have been a senior in high school and be able to see every book I ever read from kindergarten all the way to a senior in high school. To me, that would be awesome because I don't remember half of the books that I've read, whether I liked them or not. And so this is just a really neat thing that you can do. Another book that I'll recommend is Because of Mr. Corrupt. Oh my gosh. That is probably my favorite book I've ever read outside of The Giver. So I can't recommend Because of Mr. Corrupt enough. But you will need a box of Kleenex. So there's your warning. Some other great things is I love goo.gl as a Google shortener. I can shorten any links. Sometimes when you share links, you share really, really long links. And so with goo.gl, I can say, okay, I want to share this website, but it's way too long, so I want to shorten it. I can shorten it. It gives me a preview of the website, which is really great for kids when I'm teaching them how to shorten links to make sure they're shortening the right website. And it gives me a little shortened link right here. It is case sensitive, so you will need to make sure capital letters remain capital letters. But if you'll notice, I'm signed into my Gmail account right now. Why is that a good thing? Because if I'm signed into my Gmail account, when I shorten a URL, then I can, when I share it, I can see how many people actually clicked on my shortened link. So if I'm going to send a link out to parents, I can see how many people are actually clicking on that link. I love that. The other great thing is I can copy this URL. I can paste it up in my URL bar. And then at the end of it, now this only works with goo.gl links, so don't do this with anything else. So I can put .qr, and it changes it to a QR code. So now I have a QR code for that shortened link that I can just drag off the screen and drop into any document that I want. And so I absolutely love that as well. And I can take any, and these Google shortened links don't ever expire. So you can use them again and again and again, however many times that you want to. But that's a big game changer for me. Again, I'm really big about virtual field trips and connecting my kids. I love Google Art Project. What Google Art Project does is, I can't talk and type. Okay, so what it will do is they've taken the most high definition cameras in history and they have photographed all of these museums and all these things. And by high definition, I'll show you. This is a painting that was done with what's called pointillism, and it's thousands of little dots. Google has taken such a high definition photo that I can zoom in this far, and I can see the fabric of the painting. I hope you can see that too. That's how close I can zoom in. I don't even think you can get that close to it in real life. So that to me is pretty absolutely amazing to be able to see kind of the paintings like that and the different artifacts. You'll also notice that some places that you visit has a little orange guy. If you've used Google Maps recently, you'll know that if you go and use Google Maps and search your address, you can get a street view like you're standing in front of your house, and it's kind of creepy. But with museums and stuff, if they have this little orange guy, you can do the same thing. I can take this little guy, and now I am at the museum, and I can walk from room to room and up to any painting that I want to walk up to and read about it, learn about it. But now I don't have to be in Chicago to view the Art Institute of Chicago. I can go wherever I need to go and do whatever I need to do as if I was actually there. To me, you can't beat that. That's pretty amazing. I mean, besides, of course, going there in person. If you are a history teacher, the Cultural Institute is the same thing, except that it's history moments. And so like if I'm studying Anne Frank, I can visit the Anne Frank house and I can see the entire exhibit. I can see every photo, every piece of text. I can see every video that they would have to offer. Everything is free. So imagine being able to send your kids to a museum to do research instead of them having to just go to Google to do the research. So to me, that's a game changer. Now, my students are younger and they absolutely love Google World Wonders. With Google World Wonders, it's the exact same concept, except of course it's World Wonders. So my kids can go and they can look at the Grand Canyon and they can walk the entire path of the Grand Canyon. And they can go and look through all this and learn about it and read facts, but they can walk the Grand Canyon as if they were actually there at the Grand Canyon itself. They love this. They can swim the Great Barrier Reef. They can do all these incredible things that you wouldn't normally get to do. So my kids will spend hours on there. Now, I'm just showing you the cool fancy stuff. There's a lot of historical information involved in all these things as well. If you're an English teacher, the Google Lit Trips is awesome. It takes books and you can travel the path that the book takes on your globe with images and videos. And those are created by teachers for their students and they're updated all the time. Let's see. Another thing that I'll share with you, I love Google Classroom, but I'm not going to go into that because that could be a whole hour in and of itself. But there's a Who Knew page. So I'm going to just go to google.com because I already know all this stuff on the Who Knew page, but all this stuff that I'm about to tell you, it's all on the Who Knew page. So this is why I love google.com, because this is the kind of stuff that they do that they don't advertise. So I no longer have to go to 20 different websites to do 20 different things. If I want to define a word, I can say define school, and it will give me a definition of school right here within Google. School. And it will read the word for me. I don't have to go to dictionary.com anymore. When I do Google Hangouts and Skypes with other countries from around the world, I don't have to worry about doing time conversions on trying to get the right time. I can say time Sweden, and it's 4:34 p.m. Friday, April 17th in Sweden. I can do time Australia. It's Saturday in Australia right now, which is what's great about Skyping with them is you can tell your kids you get to Skype with the future and they're going to Skype with the past and they just flip out. But so I can do that. I no longer have to go to weather.com. I can say weather Houston. There's the weather in Houston right now as well as a forecast. So it's all on one page. I don't have to go to any kind of calculator website. I can say 2 + 2 is 4. Gives me an entire calculator right here for me to be able to use. Now this is probably not one you'll want to share with your kids, but I just wanted to show you that there's everything is right here on google.com. Now, if you're a traveler, they also have Google Flights, which I love. So with Google Flights, what you can do is you can go here and it knows where I'm at, it knows I'm near Houston. So put that as Houston. It gave me a May 3rd date, whatever. Let's say I want to go to Vegas. I can click the Vegas airport. It will pull every flight for me right away, and I can book them right from this site. After I book my flight, then I can look at different hotels along the side as well and book those. And so it just makes everything so much easier to go and do this and to save all your flights and see how everything works. So I love that aspect as well. Now, one of my favorite things, though, is that when my wife cooks, she likes to go on Pinterest and find recipes, which is all well and good, except unless you have a professional chef and 75 ingredients for every recipe. So I like to just go and Google. So if I Google something like chicken spaghetti, well, there are 12 million results for chicken spaghetti. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but along the side is this little option called search tools. And so if I click on search tools, that gives me options, and those options are different for everything that you search. It knew I was searching food, so it gave me recipe-specific searches. So if I go to ingredients, I can see these are the top ingredients used in chicken spaghetti. So I'm at home cooking right now, and I don't have cream of mushroom, and I don't want to go to the store. I click no, and every recipe that required cream of mushroom is gone. Then I can look at the cook time and say, well, I have to move quick. I need a less than 30-minute recipe. And then I can say, well, I'm on a diet. I need less than 100 calories. It doesn't exist. But I can find a less than 500 calorie recipe, just so you know. But that one of those things that I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible thing ever. Just to be able to really narrow down my search that specific into everything that I was looking for. You can also do shopping on Google as well, because I know we'll go to Walmart, Amazon, all these different places to find stuff. But if you go to the shopping tab, it will pull everything up for you, so you don't have to do that. So if I'm looking at this iPad mini 2 with Wi-Fi 16 gig space gray, I can click on it, and it tells me here's all the stores that are selling it right now and all the prices, and I can compare 25 more stores. And so it compares everything right there for me. Now, the other thing I'll show you that Google does is, let's say that I'm shopping for a gazebo, and I'm looking at different gazebo images. Now, I'm looking on here. This could have been emailed to me, an image. I could have found an image on Pinterest. It doesn't matter where the image is coming from. But I will make this little preface. This only works in Google Chrome browser. So if you're still using Internet Explorer, you probably need to change, because even Microsoft is killing that off. So it's time to move on. But I love Google Chrome, and this is one of the reasons why. I see, let's say, this gazebo right here. I'm going to drag the image up to my search box, drop it in there, and then I'm going to scroll down and tell Google to look at visually similar images. And it found, and of course it's going to act like it can't do that, it found all these visually similar images for me of the exact same gazebo that you can use. And so what is great about this is that my cousin had a little girl, and she designed a girl's bedroom, and she couldn't find a picture she really loved. So she found one, drug it in, and gave her thousands of, it knew it was a bedroom, it knew it was a little girl's bedroom, and it knew the color scheme. And so it gave her a lot of options to use. So those are just some of the things that Google does. Google also does some really stupid stuff. You can tell it to do a barrel roll, and it will do a barrel roll. You can tell it to do Zerg Rush, and it'll turn to the Zerg Rush game where those fall from the sky, and you have to click on them fast enough before they make all your searches disappear. You can also do Atari Breakout. And when you go to images, it turns your images into the Atari Breakout game. And so if you ever hear this noise, this is what your students are doing in the computer lab. So those are, but it also does, if you've heard of Kevin Bacon's 6 Degrees of Separation, Google also worked with Kevin Bacon to kind of do this crazy thing with Google where I can pick any celebrity I want. So I will do Ben Affleck Bacon number. And his Bacon number is 1 because he was with Kevin Bacon in Sundance Skippy. So you can find every single celebrity's relation in 6 things or less on how they are connected to Kevin Bacon. I will tell you that is extremely addicting, and you will get lost very quickly trying to find the most obscure celebrity you can and prove that you can find a large Bacon number. The largest Bacon number I've been able to find on my own is 4. I gave some teachers a challenge to find a Bacon number bigger than 4, and those little cheaters went and Googled what is a Bacon number bigger than 4 and found celebrities. So don't do that. But I did find Tim Tebow has a Bacon number of 4, and now it's not going to work. It's funny how all this worked every other time I do this. Tim Tebow Bacon number. And now he doesn't have one. Well, he did have a Bacon number of 4. I know that Albert Einstein was another one that has a Bacon number of 3. And so you can find out, it has to be somebody recently. It can't be like Jesus. He doesn't have a bacon number. And you are not celebrities, so don't Google your own name because you're not going to find a bacon number there either. But those are just some great things that Google has to offer that a lot of us just don't know about. And I just think it's really great to use that. The last couple things I'll share with you is my cool stuff. Teachers, you're going to love these. And administrators, you will as well. Phone My Phone is one of my favorites. Say that you have that meeting that is just going to be the world's worst meeting. Well, with Phone My Phone, you can tell it to call your phone, and you can tell it how many times to call your phone, and what time, and what number to look like it's coming from. And so you can say, man, I've got 7 phone calls from my wife in the last hour. I've got to take this. But my favorite, though, is definitely Slide Dial. I love Slide Dial and use it all the time. So as a teacher, when a parent called to complain about something, I had 24 hours as district policy to call them back. Now, I could have waited 24 years, and they still would have screamed at me because their child is the angel who never does anything wrong, and I'm the devil. And so I knew that I had to call them back. And I knew that once they heard what really happened in class, they would be fine. And so I would use Slide Dial. What Slide Dial is it's free. You can pay 10 cents to use it each time. And all that does is that if you want to use the free version, you have to listen to a 30-second commercial every time you call. I don't really care. I'm not paying for anything, so I'll listen to the commercial. But then it asks for the phone number. I type the phone number in. And what Slide Dial will do is it will directly bypass the ringing and go straight to their voicemail. And so I'm able to call, leave a voicemail, and say, here's what really happened. If you have any other questions, please call me back. And most of the time, they don't call back, but I've met district policy by calling them and making that connection. And so as a outside of education, I've used my mom when she refused to get text messaging and I could not call her without being on the phone for an hour. I would use Slide Dial all the time and say, I'm just going to Slide Dial you and leave a voicemail, and I'm never going to get to talk to you again until you get texting. And it worked, and she got texting. So that's just my little word of advice for that. I love Slide Dial. Translate, it's fun. You can type in a whole paragraph and it will translate it to the way that kids would translate it to text it. So I use that for warm-ups, and it's really fun for the kids. They can read it, but other adults think it's gibberish. Flip text is exactly what it sounds like. When you click on it and type whatever you need to type, it will do literally flip your text upside down. And so you can just copy and paste upside down text. And the last one is iFake text. And this is one of my favorites as well. Because what you can do is I can say dad, and then I can type in the message. I can choose my carrier. Well, if you've seen those things on TV, which are the autocorrect stories, none of them are real, by the way. They do it using iFake text, because now I can create my screenshot. And what you will see is it will take the message, the thing that I just typed in, and it will create a screenshot of a fake text message where it looks like it's real. And so we've used this with kids to have them create text conversations between Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, or between 2 characters of their book. And so they're able to use technology now to pretend like if these people had a phone, what would they be texting each other? And so they have absolutely ate that up and loved it. There's a ton of other resources on our website as well. But what I want to leave you with is my Educator Learning Series. The website is educatorlearningseries.blogspot.com. You can see it up here at the top. But this is a learning series that I did over the summer last year, and it was our summer learning series. And you can get access to that by going to my very first post, where you can see that the summer LS is back, and here's how you can get to the summer one, because the summer one is where we go through how to use Twitter, how to connect, how to do hashtags, how to do all kinds of things. But I did it over the summer for my staff, and we had about 3,000 people around the world in 7 different countries participate. And so after we won an EduBlog award for Best Open PD, I decided to bring it back in January. And every week I release a new challenge that you can choose to do or skip it. You don't have to do any of them, and you can do whichever ones you want. But they're challenges created by all my connected friends around the world. And so some of the best create challenges and have you do it. And they're very basic, very easy, but you can check out any of the things that we did. But it's just another great way to continue your learning and to just keep up and just making yourself better all the time. And so I wanted to share that with you as thank you for allowing me to speak to you for the last hour. Hopefully, I know I probably overwhelmed you and gave you way too much, but my biggest advice to you is, and I had to learn this the hard way, but everybody that's connected educator will tell you, do not try to use more than 2 or 3 of the tools that you learn about in a day. Never. Because what you will do is you will try to find 5 or 6 that you just fell in love with, and you will try to do all of them. And then you will do all of them terribly, and then you will hate technology, you will hate trying new things, and you will quit it all. Find 2 or 3 that you're really passionate about, become an expert in those, and then try bringing in some new things. Don't try to use it all at once. But that's why we created the 3 Tech Ninjas website for you, so that you could have that one space to go to that has all the stuff saved. So you don't have to go back and try to refine things. It's all there for you. I guess if we wanted to, I could take a couple questions for a few minutes. I've got a couple more minutes before I've got to run and do some more observations. So,
Do you have any questions? I guess not.
okay. Well, you can find me on Twitter. You can see my Twitter handles at TechNinjaTodd. You can see me an email from my website too, which is toddnesloni.com. And I've got some flipped class resources, which I'm really passionate about, some project-based learning resources. And I have a contact page where you can check me out, where you can reach me. I will tell you, if you send me an email, you're probably gonna have to send reminder emails, but if you tweet me, you'll get a response in like 10 or 15 minutes, because I'm a Twitter addict, because it's just too easy to pull it up on your phone and be able to respond. But I really thank y'all for allowing me to speak to y'all today. I love visiting Oklahoma whenever we get up there, so I hope that y'all got something great.
Thank you so much.